we're talking about competitive conditions, I'm pretty sure we're talking about the competition to achieve, the competition to deliver results. So yes, there is an aspect that is very important to be maintained, but I think it also requires revisiting from time to time, because we've seen a lot of burnout rate, people working additional hours because of this digital integration nowadays with the business. People can work around the clock, people can work after hours, people can work from home, from their cars. So I think that gives competition a new definition of, is it the quantity of work put in versus the outcome, or is it also the quality? And how do we ensure that we reduce the burnout rate? Because people are getting a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of information that we have in this digital age and the speed of certain transformation. Some organizations are faster in transforming to the digital models, while others are still facing technical issues. And for example, the UAE was famous for its infrastructure and internet, but until the pandemic hit, a lot of the VoIP and online meeting platforms were not completely accessible for multiple reasons. And now we see it becoming the norm. And that drove competition as well between entities to have more meetings, to drive more results. But as I said in the beginning, it's also burning out, and we're seeing an increase in the burn rate of employees. And a lot of the employees' behavior also changed over the past 3 years. So this is a very important aspect to look at the ethical values when we are maintaining the competitive conditions. As you mentioned, there's a lot of trending topics and trending terminologies that even a lot of the public sector and private sector are not 100% aware of, or their definition or how they're applied. From my personal point of view, one of the technologies that I've really seen transform the engagement of employees, not only internally within an organization, but even with stakeholders, is the online collaborative tools. There's so many different companies providing it as a third application, but there are a lot of organizations who are also developing their own internal platforms, where whatever can be done in a workshop physically can be also done online. And this has two amazing aspects. Number one is the collaborative approach, where you bring stakeholders together. And then you have the second, an important part is the digital literacy, because as a transformation, you have to take into consideration that not every individual you're dealing with is as tech savvy as the other. Some are very knowledgeable about the different platforms, the IT infrastructure, and how to utilize those technologies and those tools. Others are still working with the basics, such as emails and basic applications. So, in my point of view, this was a transformational tool that helped creating common grounds between people of different backgrounds, different sectors, and they came in with the same ultimate purpose, where we run workshops, either in the private or the public sectors, and that's sharing knowledge and creating the common grounds where people can move forward from. I'm not going to say 100%, I'm going to say 1000%. There is no purpose, and it's actually very demotivating for teams and for entities to work on projects not knowing if it's going to be sustained or scalable. By definition, we've worked on different services in the past, in the private and the public sector. And by definition, once again, a service is sustainable until a new service is presented. Services can also be scalable. So it's this attribution and this perspective. It's like the exit strategy when a business is being established. It brings the team together to the bigger picture to see how is this. It's not just a deliverable of a one result and then everyone quits or remove their hands from the project. They understand that what they are doing is laying the foundation for something that will survive on a long time. And this is sustainability by definition. And scalability is to see how this can be actually scaled within the same scope or in different scopes, and it can help other projects as well develop further. So it's definitely one of the most important aspects that requires attention from the beginning, because if it's not prepared for well, it might end up killing the project immediately after completion. First of all, the availability of data in this day and age is as I said in the beginning, we've never lived in an age where we had such an abundant amount of information readily available. So it's very important to, first of all, identify the data you're working with, and understanding it is the second most important, because there is something as too much information that will distract a team or distract entities from working together. The understanding part, I think, is very important from the perspective point of view. I can maybe give you an example from the private sector when we were leading a manufacturing entity. And at that time, it was the European Union coming together. And while we were sourcing a lot of the raw material from the States and Europe, with the fluctuation of the currency, certain decisions required understanding of the data. Is it more cost efficient to order resources from Europe or the US? And now, for example, the euro started increasing and going above the US dollar. The sourcing of certain materials started shifting to the US. However, that data was just analyzed from costing and procurement perspective. In operational, the same data was irrelevant because the value or the cost was not the priority. The priority was the delivery time, because the manufacturing entity and that facility was using just-in-time delivery models, which means that now that some materials were supposed to be shipped from the US, it will take longer, which affects the overall production, which at the end of the day, it will affect the bottom line. So even though both have merits, the procurement and accounts have very solid grounds in justifying that the cost is higher. The operation is also justifying that the time is another value that we are forgetting how to look at. So understanding those data, bringing them together and making sure that there is a common understanding created is a very vital role especially for the decision makers, to ensure that the delivery of results, especially if you're talking about accelerating results and accelerating tangible results or delivering tangible results, you can get confused or you can lose momentum by not looking at the information properly. Hello, everyone. My name is Sultan Alshaali. I'm an expert in agile transformation and acceleration in both private and public sector. I'm very excited to be speaking about different stakeholder mapping methodologies and getting people together at the Enterprise Cloud and Data Center Forum, held on May 25th, 26th, 2022. I'll be there in person in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and I am looking forward to seeing you all there.